Start. Hey guys, what's up? This is Monday the 8th, first of August. Thank you so much for coming. This is NCYE. Josh Fernandez here with NCYE, and we have something very special for you today. A special expert, Mr. Samson Bugwa. Say hi, Samson.
Hi guys, so excited to be here.
So right now, before we actually get started here, we just want to make sure that everything is. Samson, are you getting me loud and clear from your end?
Yep, Crystal.
Okay, good stuff. So now, definitely, guys, this is a topic that I'm sure many of you will be excited about. Something we've all been through business. You know, we close a deal, we're waiting to get paid. 50% has been paid up front, and then we have to follow up, and people are not picking our calls because they know that we want to get paid. So this is something that I am looking forward to. So first of Samson, for taking the time to actually come and share this with us. So I will now give it all to you.
Great. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share. I really am passionate about sharing. So let me get straight to it. So today we're going to talk about getting paid, making sure that what is in your invoice is actually in your pocket. So let me just start with a quick intro of who we are and what Afrobiashara is all about. So my name is Samson Bogo. I work under the banner of Afrobiashara. So at Afrobiashara, we're passionate about African businesses and SMEs across the continent. We believe in sustainable development, and we believe that the best way to pull Africa out of poverty is to have thriving businesses up and running across the continent. So we've started with the hub, that is Kenya, of course, but we want to spread our wings in the long run to other parts of this continent, and we're very excited about what we do. So how do we do what we do? We reach out to businesses. We're currently in the process of exploring different business models that will allow us to spread our information much faster at economies of scale that will allow us to have larger impact. So if you have any ideas, please let us know, but we're really in the experimentation stage right now. So yeah, that's a brief intro of Afrobiashara. So let me get straight into the topic. Yes, so company debt is a real SME issue. So as Josh has pointed out, we all know we work for someone, we put in a lot of time and effort, we go out of our way to do a brilliant job, and then the nightmare starts. So you've been paid your 50%, the other 50% is left in someone else's pocket and not yours. And in Kenya, we all know the reality. Just to make sure that you understand how big a problem this is, the big three supermarkets, that's Tuskys, Uchumi, and Nakumatt, owe suppliers to the tune of 8 billion shillings. Now, they're not the worst. Gava owns 111 million Kenya shillings in debt to suppliers across the country. And just when you think that this problem is only in Kenya because we're inefficient, in the UK, 27%, that's nearly a quarter of SMEs write off bad debt, averaging 11,829. That is approximately 1.5 million, 1.6 million shillings. In the past 12 months alone, they wrote off debt worth 1.6 million. So this is a problem that's not just in Kenya. It's a global phenomenon. It's a global issue. So hopefully tackling it today will help us walk through the challenges and be able to overcome. Yeah. So the best solution is actually to try not to get into debt situations at all. If you're able to tweak your business model to allow you to be a cash-based business, I keep on saying that my favorite business is I one day hope to start a fish and chips shop, because You guys, just a beautiful business. Everyone pays cash. But not every business can allow you to have that kind of reality. So in order for you to be able to scale, you may need to be able to accept credit. Or what if your business model is built around the fact that you can accept credit as your competitive advantage? So there are those kind of instances. So if that's the kind of business space you're in, then you need to listen to this. So we want to get you to reduce your outstanding, that is your accounts receivable AR, by 90% in 30 days. So in the book that I've just finished writing, we have a 3-step process. So the first step is you assess your debt. Step 2, assess your debtors. And step 3, make your contact. Now, I've really insisted on having step 1 and 2 in the book because a lot of times part of the reason why we don't get paid is because we don't really take a step back to think about who we're pursuing and how much we're pursuing them for, especially in relation to the general business debt. So because of that, we're not really effective about how we chase our AR, and we aren't able to make smart choices about what to prioritize and what not to prioritize, because sometimes that becomes a reality that we need to face. So in our book, you will see that you learn about step 1 and step 2, and also get now information how to make sure that now when you're picking up that phone to call your debtors, you're very, very effective about making contact. So in this webinar, we're going to talk about step 1, assessing your debt. And that has to do with the AR schedule. Now, a lot of guys are not
Wait,
familiar.
just to second, Samson, just to pause you there for a second.
Okay.
Let me, for people that may not fully understand, what AR is. Could you, briefly explain, what AR is, what it stands for, and what you mean?
I was actually just about to talk about it. So yes, naturally, the AR schedule. AR stands for accounts receivable. It's just jargon speak for what you're owed by your clients. So when you're talking to an accountant, they don't say your debtors, they say AR. So accounts receivable. What is your AR schedule? Now, basically, an AR schedule is a formalized document or a chart that shows you how much you owed and who owes you what. So in the next slide, I'm going to show you exactly what kind of information goes into the AR schedule, and walk you through the basics of how to use it to make smart business decisions in terms of chasing your debt. But for now, let's ask ourselves, why do we need an AR schedule? Okay. So the first thing is that it allows you to see information regarding your debt. This will become clearer in the next slide. So let's not dwell too much on that first point. Number 2, it makes it hard to forget invoices. Now, one of the saddest things that happens in businesses is that a lot of the reasons why we don't get paid is because we simply forget that people owe us money, as ridiculous as that sounds. So I have a story. I knew a client who was owed 20 million Kenya shillings, and they could not find it in their books. So they had to clean up their book accounts. And when they cleaned up their accounts, this 20 million just popped up. And they realized that they hadn't invoiced for 20 million shillings. They were just going to pass that kind of money over. Now, you'd think this is a small client. It was actually a really, really big company with a very structured accounts department. They had 4 staff members. Now, you can imagine if a company with 4 staff members has the audacity to forget that they can be paid. What about us SMEs who have smaller departments of untrained staff and people who don't know how to manage debt and debt schedules? So this is actually very, very important, so that you don't get to a situation where people just leave your debt because, and as a client, I won't pay you if you don't ask me for your money. So yes, the other issue is it helps you keep in touch with your business debt trends. Now, in terms of trending, I'll show you how that works in the next slide. But it's very important to keep in touch with your business debt trends, because if last month you had an outstanding AR of 200,000 and this month you have an outstanding AR of 400,000 and your trends are not going down, if you have it on an AR schedule, it makes it easy for you to start planning on how to collect and puts you in touch with what is going on in the business in terms of who owes you what and how much they owe you and how old that debt is. Again, we'll see that in the next slide. So number 4 is it helps you to be strategic about chasing the debt. Once you have all the information required about the debt, and especially who owes you as well, you're able to be very focused and strategic about how you pursue the debt and how you go about it. There are techniques that are applied at different ages of the debt. So if the debt is very old, there's a way you're supposed to pursue it, because the probability of getting older debt reduces. So the kind of intensity you need to pursue it with is also different from debt that is very, very current. Okay, so let's move on to the AR schedule. So what you have in front of you is a sample AR schedule. I'll be honest, I just picked it off Google, but it provides a very, very good example of what kind of information you need to find on your AR. Okay, so it has several columns. Number 1, the most important is your customer name on the first column. And then I'll jump from the customer name to the number of days past due. Okay, that is very, very, also very, very important information. And then the other column is the total debt. Okay, so let's talk about how all this information, first of all, is compiled and what it means. So I'd like us to start with Mr. T.E. Edit. I hope I said that right. So Mr. T.E. Edit owes us a total of $600. Okay. He owes us over 90 days, $100, and 61 to 90, he owes us $200. 31 to 60, he doesn't owe anything, and then 1 to 30, he owes $300. Now, what does that information mean? So over 90 means that it's over 90 days. 90 days is typically 3 months. So he has a debt with us of $100 that is over 3 months old. Okay. Then he has another debt with us for $200 that is 3 months old. And then 2 months he has nothing, and then in 1 month he owes $300. So that means last month he owes us for last month $300. He owes us for 3 months ago $200, and he owes us for possibly 4-5 months ago $100. Why is this information important? You may be asking yourself. Now, that $100 that is over 90 days becomes increasingly useless to us the older it becomes. So $100 today is not $100 3 months ago. So if I get paid my $100 90 days after it was incurred, that $100 has lost value over that course of 90 days. Number 1. Number 2, it becomes increasingly difficult to chase down debt that is old. People forget, they become stubborn, and they generally become slippery about older debt. But newer debt, on the other hand, is much easier to chase. It's fresh on our minds. People feel like they owe, so there's an emotional connection to the debt from the client's perspective. So if you have an AR schedule that breaks down when that specific debt was incurred, it helps you understand what kind of techniques that you need to apply in order for you to recover your debt within 30 days. Okay, so let's take a typical example. The 1 to 30 days debt for Mr. Adat is an easy invoice, call, and if at worst case show up. But the $100 that he owes us, not only has it lost value for us, but when I show up at his premise to ask for $100, it means I'm also wasting time. So the value of that $100 is also eroded at the same time. Additionally, not only is it more expensive to chase that $90, over 90-day debt, it's he won't be as excited to pay it as he would be to pay fresher debt. And it would be more difficult to get it from his pocket. You have your own example. If I owe you, if you owe me 20,000 that was incurred last year, it would be very difficult for me to come and ask you for that same amount of debt, because it feels like the debt period, the relevant debt period for collecting, it's over. So there's an emotional disconnect from the debt. Now, for you to be able to collect that 20,000 from me, you need to be very, very, very aggressive. So as a business, you shouldn't let debt go beyond 90 days, period. Having a debtor's schedule allows you to see and monitor the red zone where your debt is growing old. And you know that as soon as it crosses the 90-day period, you're looking at an increasingly higher level of written off debt. So I've just introduced a new technical concept, written off debt. So written off debt is someone owes you money and it looks like you can't recover it, so you write it off your books. You just count it as a loss. So he might owe you 10,000, you just write off that 10,000. So in order to discuss the specific techniques that would be relevant for each stage of debt collection, I'd recommend you to grab a copy of the book that I have out. I'll share the link for those who are on the webinar, and if you're interested, you could always contact me directly or get in touch with Josh. He'll let you know how to get it, so that we're able to discuss the various specific issues that are tackled on the specific column of days. Yeah, I guess I'm done for now, unless there are any questions. Josh?
Hello.
Hi. Yeah?
Okay, yeah,
Hello?
just sorry. Continue. We're still on.
Oh, we're still on. So I was just done with the presentation.
Oh, you just finished?
Unless there are other specific questions that you'd have concerning the specific.
Well, I think especially the way you've explained the AR, which is fantastic, but I think that a lot of people really want to know how exactly they could actually structure their own AR, in your book that you have coming out, and then how can they get a hold of that book? Where can they buy the book if it's in the book?
Mm-hmm. Oh, so structuring your AR is part of the course that is bought, that comes free of charge with the book. So when you buy the book, this information is not inside the book, but there's a free e-course that comes along with the book that will teach you the technicalities of keeping in touch with your debt. So there's a lot of technical information that will be carried with you over a 4-week period as you interact with the book, just to make sure that you have the information and it's applicable to your business specifically. So the AR will come with the course that comes with the book. Yes.
Oh, nice.
In terms of keeping in touch, how to structure your AR. Now, the number one rule of running a business is to make sure that you have complete records. Rule number one. There are many rule number ones, but this is one of the rule number ones. Keep complete records. So the only way that you will know how that Mr. T Adat owes you $100 for over 90 days is that if you have complete records. If you don't have records straight, you will not be able to keep track of this information. Now, my recommendation for really small businesses is to get an external accountant. There's a brilliant portfolio of external accountants available in NCYE. I'd get in touch with them myself if I were you, just to help me keep in touch with the kind of figures that I need to know. Because losing track of your
Nice.
AR is losing track of money. And it's the number one reason why people lose their money after servicing. We've just talked about guys losing over 53,000 shillings in terms on an annual basis in the UK because they don't invoice properly. So you can imagine, if you don't invoice properly, and even after you've invoiced, you don't keep track of your invoices, you lose even more money because you're not keeping track of what people owe you. And the first step of making sure that people pay you is to know what they owe you, because I won't pay you if you can't ask me for your money, definitely, and especially in Kenya. If you don't ask me for your money, I don't make you a priority payment. I have other business bills that I need to pay. So I'll pay the person who's talking and asking me for their money.
All right. Now I have a question. I have a question here.
Okay.
Now, let's say basically with this whole AR system setup, which is fantastic, you've explained it amazingly well. Now, let's say you have all that, right? I'd just like you to briefly go over, the different things that your book talks about, the different steps on how to find how much money is owed to you and how to take control of your AR, or is there more? So what just so that people know.
So I'll go through that series of steps by going back to the slide that I introduced. So in order for you to get your AR reduced by 90% in 30 days, number one, after you've assessed your debt, which is what we've been talking about basically, of course there's more information, then you assess your debtors, because every debtor relationship is different. You might be owing Mr. T. Abbott $100 for over 90 days because of a special relationship you have with him, and you know that he will pay you. Or he might have conned you out of that $100. It depends. That every relationship with your clients is different, especially in a small business. Number three is to make contact, and that's where the bulk of the book covers how to properly make contact with your client in order for you to be paid. The first thing is that you need to have effective communication with your client. Your client needs to know exactly how much is owed, and they need to know exactly when they need to be paid. We tackle that in the various ways of making contact. We talk about email, we talk about phone, we talk about in-person confrontation, and how to make sure that it's not just about going to the person's place of business or hunting him down at church and asking him for your money. It's so much more than that. So that in order for you to be effective about the process, there are several things that you need to remember, and my book covers them. We also talk about, so you've emailed, you've talked to this guy, you've called him, you've sent him mass SMSs, and this guy either cannot pay because of certain business realities or will not pay because he just doesn't want to pay. What do I do next after that? And a lot of SMEs are stuck within that space where you've done all you can and guys are still not paying. So what next? So my book also talks about that and touches on areas and techniques that you can use to make sure that you get your money, depending on what sacrifices or what opportunity costs you're willing to go through in order to make sure that you get paid. So yeah, so my book talks about how to assess your debtors, it starts with your debt, moves on to your debtors, and makes sure that it finishes with how to make effective contact so that you are paid. And it's not just about calling, it's about calling effectively. It's not just about emailing, it's about emailing effectively. Yes. And then finishes off with the 911. What do I do when everything else fails? How do I call in the cavalry?
I like that
Yes.
911. So yeah, with that said, guys, something about where can people get this book? Where is the URL? Is there a link that they can visit to actually get this book?
So
Yeah.
so I will share the link with everyone. You can get in touch with me directly, info@afrobiashara.com, or additionally, I will share it on the NCYE Facebook page when the book is out,
Right.
so that be effective. However, I am giving out a free copy of the first chapter,
Mm-hmm.
just to get you in touch with what we've talked about. So step one, assessing your debt, is tackled. I'm giving it out as a free chapter, value add. I'll also share that link on the NCYE page, or you can reach out directly to me, and I'll make sure that you have your copy.
All right, perfect, perfect. And I'll just make sure that we put a link actually after this below. So every
Okay,
to this
great.
webinar, we will definitely be sending you another link, basically showing you and telling you where you can get Mr. Samson's book, so you don't miss out on anything. But this is a strategy I
Okay.
think I knew 2 years ago, man. I mean, I've read the book. I can testify it is amazing. Some of the stuff covered in there is just yeah, it's next to stuff you would not get anywhere else in the market. No one is teaching this, guys. Believe me, I've checked. No one. I've been to seminars, I've been to workshops, I've been to conferences. No one is teaching basically how to get your debt back. No one, and how to control your debt. Very, very thankful that I found this book, and yeah, definitely, I've already started implementing it, and I'm already seeing changes. So even
Great.
the way I talk, so it's, I mean, Samson, you have some serious stuff in there.
Thanks,
Some
man.
very serious.
Yeah, fortunately or unfortunately, it's from experience. So I had to also learn the hard way how to ask for money. And yeah, and I watched so many SMEs struggle with their AR. I had one who walked into the company, it was totally messed up, totally messed up. They did not have financial records, they did not have
Mhm.
anything. So the first thing we did, of course, as you do when you walk into a place that doesn't have any records, is to create them. So we built up the accounts department from scratch. And we discovered that these guys were actually very profitable. But the problem is, they didn't know this because number one, they didn't have records. And number two, since they didn't ask their clients for their money, they were always have cash strapped. So they didn't have enough money to run around and do the things. So when we started showing them how much money guys owed them, they were really surprised. They didn't know how much money they were making. So step one, assess your debt. They went through step one. Step two, assess their debtors. So they looked to who owes them what and how can they chase it. So some of them are institutions. How do you chase those institutions? Some of them are individuals. How do you chase those individuals? And then step three is what we're working through with them, is now how to make contact. And they did a beautiful job. Over the past 3 months, they've been reducing their AR very, very significantly. Remember, this is historic debt built over 5 years, and they've
Oh, 5 years.
over 5 years. So this is
Okay.
5 years of bad behavior that they've worked through, and right now they're just going into beautiful places. They've gotten to such a good place now. They're looking into expansion and financing because now they can qualify from a bank perspective. So it's really important to make sure that you keep a tight control, a tight grip on your records, number one. Then after you've kept you know what your records are telling you, then make strategy that actually works to uh, reduce your debt. Otherwise, you will always be in the place where your business is straining for cash. And you know the number one reason, Josh, the number one reason why businesses close, it's not because they're not profitable. Don't let anyone lie to you. it's because they don't have money, like Kevin O'Leary likes to say, money. If you don't have money, it doesn't matter how profitable you are, because profitability is a paper, is a paper number. I can tell you I'm profitable because I sold 10 mandazis at 20 bob, made my 200 bob, and I bought those mandazis at 5 bob. I made my 100 bob. But if my client hasn't paid me my 200 bob, I need 100 bob to make sure that I can buy tomorrow's stock, and I don't have any money on me right now to be able to continue my business. It's that bad. So what kills businesses is cash flow. Cash flow is king in any business, and your debt is one of the biggest elements of your cash flow. So
just
getting control of your cash.
just by you talking
Pardon?
right, just by you know, cash flow is king. I love that saying. Just by you saying that, I can actually think of a few businesses that me myself personally work with, and they have this. I think he loses money every day as much as he makes money. So
True.
I completely understand. So
Yeah.
before we end this, thank you so much for coming and giving us. Where can people reach you, just in case they want to reach you or follow you? You know.
You can check out our page on Afrobiashara Facebook. It's /Afrobiashara. So we're on Facebook. We're also on Twitter, at Afrobiashara. Or you can check out our website, www.afrobiashara.com, as well as email us, info@afrobiashara.com, or email me personally at sam@afrobiashara.com. Yeah. How did you do that? That is so cool.
Yeah, welcome to the online world.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, thanks so much for coming on board once again, man. This has been fantastic. I think people have got just enough, you know, info here and make a change in their businesses and what they do. And
Yeah.
definitely, people need this. People really need this. So I will also forward everyone who's missed this call, or everyone who's been on this call, everyone who's been on the email list. I'll actually forward collect information to you guys and where you can buy the book and everything. So once again, Mr. Samson Bugwa, thank you so much and teaching us all this. And we definitely look forward to, you know, catching up in the future.
Thank you very much, Josh, for having me.
Very welcome, very welcome. Okay, guys, so this is an end to another webinar. Look out, we're definitely going to be having more. Once again, this is Josh Fernandez from NCYE. Have a good night.